There is a 49-floor abandoned skyscraper standing right in the middle of Bangkok, Thailand, and local people will not walk past it after dark, not because of a law, not because of a fence, but because of what they say lives inside it. Dozens of travelers from all over the world have gone in to prove the stories wrong, and almost every single one of them has come out changed, shaking, and refusing to go back. So the question you need answered before this video is over is simple. What exactly is inside that building that turns brave people into believers? This actually happened. And once you hear it, you will understand why the people who live near Bangkok's ghost tower leave fresh flowers at its base every single morning without fail. A few years ago, a traveler we will call Jacob landed in Bangkok, full of energy and bad ideas. He had already done the temples. He had eaten the street food. He had taken the long-tail boats down the Chao Phraya River with the wind in his face and felt like he owned the city. But Jacob was chasing something more. He wanted a story nobody else had. So when a man selling iced coffee near the Silom district pointed down the road and said very quietly, "You see that building?" Jacob felt his stomach flip in the best way possible. The building stood at the end of a narrow street, like something from a bad dream. Tall and grey and hollow, all open floors and dark empty squares stacked 49 floors into the Bangkok sky. It had been left unfinished since the late 1990s when the money ran out and construction stopped overnight. The workers walked away, the cranes went still, and the building just stood there, year after year, like collecting shadows. Jacob walked closer. The street around it was loud. Tuk-tuks honking, food carts sizzling, children running past. But the closer he got, the more the noise seemed to fall away, like someone slowly turning down the volume on the world. He noticed the fence first, rusty and dented, covered in Thai warning signs he could not read. He told himself it was just a no trespassing sign, standard stuff. Then he saw the shrine. It sat at the base of the fence opening, low to the ground and carefully arranged. Bright orange marigolds, still fresh. Thin sticks of incense sending white smoke straight up into the still air. A small glass of water. A little bowl of rice. Someone had placed these things here this morning. Someone who knew this building well enough to feel it needed an offering. Jacob looked at the shrine for a long moment. He felt something in his chest. Not quite fear. More like a warning wrapped in something cold. His body knew. He told his body to be quiet. He stepped over the shrine and walked through the gap in the fence. Inside, the air changed the second he crossed the threshold. It was cooler than it should have been, even in the Bangkok heat, and it smelled like old rain and wet stone and something else underneath. Something sweet in the wrong way, like fruit left out too long. Columns rose from the ground and disappeared into the dark above him, stretching away like a forest made of cement. His footsteps echoed. Every step bounced back just a little too late, just a little too loud, like the building was copying him but getting it slightly wrong. He laughed. Acoustics, he thought. Big empty space. He pulled out his phone to film. The battery said 61%. He pressed record and watched the number fall. 61, 44, 22, 9. In the time it took to pan the camera across the room, his battery had dropped more than 50%. He told himself it was a glitch. He found the stairwell and started to climb. By the time Jacob reached the 7th floor, he had stopped filming and started listening. The climb should have been simple. The stairs were wide concrete slabs, grimy but solid, winding up through the center of the building in a square spiral. Pale Bangkok daylight filtered down through layer after layer of open floors above him. It should have felt manageable, but the building had a weight to it that had nothing to do with concrete. Every floor he passed looked exactly the same in the worst way. Those bare grey columns, flat grey floors coated in dust so thick his shoes left deep prints, open edges where walls never got built, just empty air and a long drop that made his legs feel strange if he looked too long, scraps of old wire hanging from the ceiling like dead vines, and everywhere, that smell, the sweet wrong smell from the ground floor. Stronger up here, warmer, closer. On the 9th floor, he found the first doll. It just sat in the corner with its back against the column. Small and plastic, pale painted face, dark hair. Someone had tied a red string around its wrist. Jacob stood in the stairwell doorway and looked at it from a distance. His mouth went dry. He knew about spirit dolls. He had read about them before his trip. Luke Thep, the Thai people called them, spirit children believed to carry real souls inside. But they were not decoration. They were not a joke to the people who believed in them. This one had a small dish of rice in front of it. The rice looked fresh. Jacob did not go near it. He went back to the stairs and kept climbing, telling himself squatters lived here, urban campers, a perfectly normal human explanation. He repeated this quietly in his head all the way up to the 22nd floor, where he stopped because he heard music. It was faint and thin, like sound from a dying speaker, a slow, high melody he did not recognize. Children's music, maybe, or something trying to sound like it. He held his breath and listened. Then it stopped. Then after 3 full seconds of silence, it started again on the floor directly above him. He should have gone down. He kept going up. On the 25th floor, 7 small glasses of water sat perfectly spaced along the wall. Clear water, no dust. The incense beside each glass was still faintly warm. Someone had been here within the last hour, or someone had arranged these things and had not left at all. Jacob took a photo of the 7 glasses and tried to send it to his friend back at the guest house. The message sat there unsent, spinning in a circle that never finished. No signal. He had not had a signal for several floors. He could not remember exactly when it disappeared. He looked at the photo on his screen. Then he looked at the glasses in front of him. Then he looked at the photo again. In the photo, there were 8 glasses. He counted the real ones. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He counted the ones on his screen. 8. He zoomed in. The 8th glass sat at the far left end of the row, slightly smaller than the others, slightly blurred, like something had moved into the frame just as the shutter clicked, like something had stepped into the shot. His hands were not shaking. He noticed that and found it strange, because his heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat. His body had gone past shaking into something quieter, the kind of calm that animals get when they have run out of options. He pocketed his phone and looked at the far left end of the row, at the empty space where the 8th glass appeared in the photo. The air there looked the same as everywhere else, gray, still, cold, but it felt different. The way a room feels different when you walk in and know someone was just there even though you cannot see them. That specific electricity of recent presence, he said out loud to the empty floor in English. I'm leaving now. His voice came back wrong, not an echo. Echoes are delayed, they bounce and fade. This was immediate, a flat return that hit his ears like his voice had struck something standing directly in front of him. He had said 4 words. He heard 4 words come back. Same volume, same tone. Like something close enough to touch had thrown his voice straight back at him. Jacob turned and walked to the stairwell. He was going down. That was the only thought in his head, clean and simple. Down the stairs and out through the fence and back into the hot Bangkok street and never coming back. He hit the first step and moved fast, not quite running, telling himself it was not running. On the 23rd floor landing, he stopped. There was a little girl standing at the bottom of the stairwell below him, looking up. She was small, maybe 6 or 7, wearing a plain white dress. Black hair cut straight across her forehead. She was perfectly still, not fidgeting the way children fidget, not blinking, just standing and looking up at him with an expression he could not name because it was not an expression children are supposed to have. Too patient, too knowing. Jacob opened his mouth to say hello in Thai. Nothing came out. The girl tilted her head slowly to the right. Then the floor moved. A deep vibration rolled through the concrete beneath his feet, like something far below had shifted its weight. Dust fell from the ceiling in thin curtains. A wire scrap nearby swung on its own in the still air. Jacob grabbed the wall. When he looked back down, the landing was empty. The girl was gone between one blink and the next, completely and instantly, the way things disappear only in dreams. And then, from directly behind him, from the 25th floor he had just left, came the sound of 7 glasses shattering all at once. Jacob ran. There is no other word for it, and he would not argue with you if you used it. He ran down those stairs the way people run when their body has taken over and the brain is just a passenger. His shoes hit each step hard and the sound bounced back from every direction, a chaos of echoes of 23 floors of bare concrete. He did not look back. He kept his eyes on the next step down and counted floors in his head to stop himself from thinking about anything else. 15, 14, 13. On the 10th floor landing, he slipped. His right shoe caught a patch of damp concrete and his leg shot forward and he went down hard on his left knee, one hand slapping the ground to catch himself. He knelt there for 2 full seconds, breathing in fast, shallow pulls, and that was long enough to hear it. Footsteps above him, not an echo of his own. His feet were still. These were separate footsteps, slow and steady, coming down from somewhere above. One step, pause. One step, pause. The sound of something that was not in a hurry because it already knew where he was going. Jacob got up and ran harder. He hit the ground floor like falling out of the sky, stumbling into the wide gray space and not stopping, cutting straight across toward the pale rectangle of outside world where the fence opening waited. The hot Bangkok air and the sounds of the street were right there. And they felt like the most beautiful things he had ever moved toward in his life. He went through the gap without slowing, and his shoe caught the edge of the little shrine. He felt the offering dish scrape across the concrete as he passed it. He stopped 10 meters away and looked back. The building stood exactly as it had when he arrived. Gray and tall and hollow, empty black window squares stacked up to the sky like eyes. Nothing moved inside, no shape at any window, no sound coming out at all. Just the building, just the silence, and the faint curl of incense smoke from the shrine he had knocked crooked on his way through. A woman walking past looked at him, then at the building, then back at him. She shook her head slowly, not in surprise, in recognition, like she had seen this before. Like she had watched other people come stumbling out of that fence with the exact same look on their face. She said something in Thai and kept walking. Jacob sat down on the curb. His hands were shaking now, rolling through his fingers and up his arms. He checked his phone. The battery said 63%, the same as when he first tried to film inside. Like the whole hour had never happened as far as the phone was concerned. He opened his photos and found the one of the 7 glasses. The 8th glass was still there in the image, slightly darker than the others, and just at the very edge of the frame was what might have been a small pale hand resting on the floor beside it. He deleted the photo. He said later it felt like the right thing to do. Like keeping it would mean carrying something home with him that he did not want inside his regular life. Jacob was not the first person to see the girl in the white dress on those stairs. She has been reported by at least 11 separate visitors, always on the lower floors, always looking up, always gone before the person watching her can speak. Locals say the building holds on to those who died inside it. They say the shrine at the fence is not decoration. It is a conversation. A daily reminder to whatever lives in there that the people outside have not forgotten it exists. Do not step over it.